Hi guys, welcome back to my Mastectomy Diaries Series where I am filming episode 2 for you today. If you are new to me, my name is Berta Lippert and I have other videos I'll link for you to describe what this Mastectomy Diaries journey is all about. But in short, back in 2011 I underwent a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy followed by reconstruction, and I had a blog that I shared everything, but I didn't have videos that I was recording back then, and so I'm starting to do that now with the hopes that I can help even more people. So today, this second episode, I wanted to just share with you my decision to have the surgery. So if you are brand new to me, you may not know. So I lost my mother to breast cancer, and 2 of her sisters also battled breast cancer. So with regards to my journey, back in 2000, when I was in my late 20s, I had a lump that was found in my left breast. Now at that time, no one in my family had any diagnosis. So there was absolutely no history of breast cancer, none of my aunts, my mother, and it was kind of odd, this came up, but they did an ultrasound and found that it was a solid mass and went to do a biopsy, but the biopsy came back okay. I was supposed to go back in 3 months for a follow-up, and I never went. And it's something that I look back now and saw how cavalier I was, and just honestly, I just didn't think about it. There was no diagnosis, there was no history. The biopsy came back okay, so I didn't go. And I'm sharing that with you today because I don't want you to do the same thing. So I want to make sure that, especially those of you that are like me that are at high risk, we can't blow off our surveillance like that. Okay, I wouldn't encourage anybody to do that. Again, I didn't quite have the history that I have now, but that was the start of my journey. 4 years later, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, and then followed by 2 of her sisters as well had battled breast cancer. So obviously there started to be a link in our family. After my mother died, and she died in 2010, there was another lump that was found in the same breast, and this one was larger. And again, the ultrasound showed that it was a solid mass, but this one required a lumpectomy. So when I was going in for surgery to perform the lumpectomy, we unfortunately found another lump in the opposite breast, in my right breast. And I remember just looking at my breast surgeon thinking, oh my goodness, what do we do? And he was so compassionate, and he just, kind of looked at me, let's take care of this. We're going to take care of you today. We're going to knock out this surgery, and then we'll move forward. So I had my lumpectomy. Pathology came back okay. I mean, I didn't have a diagnosis, but there are different grades, if you will, of what can be seen on these reports. But I was still okay. I didn't have a diagnosis. However, I now have this other lump, and my mammograms had always been challenging because I have dense breast tissue. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Now, where my story gets a little complicated, and I really want to share this because I think there are others out there, and there's not as many of us, I think, in this situation, and that is this. My mother and her 2 sisters did not have the BRCA1 or BRCA2 mutation. But in counsel with my oncologist and my mother's oncologist and the entire medical team, everybody's in agreement, or this was 10 years ago when this was all going on. They said that there are genetic mutations that exist that just haven't been identified yet. And so I think genetic counseling today, obviously we made a lot of progress in the past decade. My mother did not have a full type of panel. They only looked for those 2 mutations. But there is still a very strong family history. So that was my situation. Now with this 3rd lump, I was now going on my 3rd biopsy, and I made a decision then that I didn't want the rest of my life to be all of the surveillance that would be required. My decision was to undergo the prophylactic bilateral mastectomy. I'm not saying that's the right decision for you, or if you're watching this and it's a loved one that you're trying to learn more about this journey. It was the right decision for me, and I absolutely support anyone's decision. If they feel comfortable and confident in the surveillance, and depending on your unique situation, what's right for one person may not be right for someone else. Okay guys, so the type of mastectomy that I had is I did not choose the nipple-sparing mastectomy. I did the skin sparing, complete, total, so I do have the experience of sharing with you nipple reconstruction as well. as my breast reconstruction if you might be on a similar journey that I was on. But it was the decision that was right for me. And I'm not saying that that is the decision that anybody else should make, but that's just my journey, and so that's what I chose. And in future videos, I'm going to be sharing everything with you, the surgery, the expansion process, the nipple reconstruction process. There's a ton of other information that's on my blog that I'll share with you today, but I just wanted to kick off this episode too with letting you know my decision, because this is not an easy decision to make. If you're watching this and you're in the same situation I'm in, the choice to have a mastectomy is not easy. But I just wanted to share with you my experience and what my journey was like in case it might just help, even just spark questions in your own mind or helping you in any way. Here's what I do want to share with you is initially I did not want reconstruction. I just don't want it, wasn't interested. But a couple different reasons I did change my mind. And the biggest one was I found a plastic surgeon that I liked. I really didn't like the one I was initially going to have if I went that route. And I'm going to share that in a separate video with you as well, because that's a long journey we're on with that doctor and the importance of that relationship. So I'm going to share that in another video. But I found a doctor that I really liked, and we talked about this, and one thing that he said that kind of swayed me was, he said it's a lot easier to do the reconstruction, to start that process at the time of the mastectomy than if you wait too long down the line. It can be just a little bit more challenging. Not that it might be impossible, but it was one of those things that after I thought about it, okay, yeah, this probably makes more sense to do it now because I can always take these implants out. So my particular route of reconstruction, I did the expander to implant route. And that's what I chose. So I also chose it because I thought, this wasn't as difficult. I have a very good friend who had to take part of a muscle from another area of her body to reconstruct. And I have other friends who have gone through, I feel anyway, a much more difficult reconstruction process than the route that I took. So I just thought that this was kind of an easier way, and it wasn't something I thought I couldn't handle. Again, I had the luxury of no diagnosis, so that's a completely different story if your skin might be in a more vulnerable state because you had radiation. So my decision might be a little bit easier than someone else's, but I'm just sharing it. I'm just sharing what my rationale was, what my thoughts were, and moving forward. So I'm going to be sharing a ton more, obviously, of my journey, but that is my history of my lumpectomies and the biopsy, everything that I had, the genetic history in our family, and my decision to undergo the double mastectomy. So in future videos, I'm going to help you with the process that I used as far as selecting the surgeons, the drain management. That was the hardest, I feel, almost my whole journey. And just the fills, the exchange surgery, nipple reconstruction, all of it. I'll definitely share that with you in the future video. So I really hope these are helpful. I will put the link again to my blog down below so that you can get more information if you're a little further along in your journey. So I am thinking of you, rooting for you. I appreciate you letting me share my journey with you and allowing me to be part of yours. So thank you so much, you guys, and I'll see you next time.